Siblings of killers. What's your story? When my younger sister was 9, she looked up from her homework and asked me why we had to help people who couldn't help themselves. I was 16, stressed about SATs and stupid AF. Because that's what good people do, Emma, I muttered before putting my headphones back on. She sat there for a moment longer before closing her notebook. I should have paid attention to the way she frowned. The signs started small. During family dinners, she'd point out which kids at school cried during gym class. She kept a notebook rating classmates by usefulness. I thought it was just weird kid stuff. Then Mr. Pinelli knocked on our door holding his tabby cat. It looked disgusting. Patchy fur, red eyes, blue tongue. That's when he said it. He had recovered security footage of Emma putting something into its food bowl in the back garden. My head immediately whipped around to Emma, expecting her to deny it, but no. Instead, she stood there with a smirk on her face. I turned back to Mr. Pinelli, who now had tears in his eyes. I'm so sorry. Emma has a rare form of autism that we're trying to manage, I lied, before handing him $300 and closing the door. Emma, what the actual F? What? She blurted. Don't blame me. It was already old as hell. I just wanted to see what would happen. That's when I knew this wasn't just childhood quirkiness, but our dad was out of the picture, and mom worked 16 hours a day at the hospital. So naturally, the duty of raising her fell on me. The next morning, I did the most responsible thing ever. I went on a Barnes & Noble shopping spree. I must have spent almost $150 on child development books and stayed up all night reading about conduct disorders. I didn't stop until I felt like I had enough information to be the next Mary Poppins. I always thought our first talk would be about puberty and intimacy, but no, it was about empathy and having basic care for others. I thought everything was going well until I finished, because that's when she tilted her head and asked, so if natural selection is real, why do we keep the defective ones around? The word defective made my skin crawl, but I knew I had no choice but to keep going, and keep going I did. I found a therapist who specialized in childhood behavioral issues. I enrolled her in softball, hoping team sports would teach cooperation. I even made her volunteer with me at the animal shelter, while keeping a close eye on her, obviously LOL. For months, I got no complaints from teachers. She seemed engaged in therapy. Finally, I could breathe, or so I thought. I was in work one day when I got the call. It was Mrs. Perth, Emma's support group leader. Her voice was shaky. I need to discuss something about Emma. We found our therapy hamster in her backpack, and there were marks on it, injection marks, and a notebook documenting its stress responses to different stimuli. My stomach dropped. I thanked her for telling me, and hung up so she wouldn't know I was having a panic attack. I wanted so desperately for the situation to fix itself, and luckily, it did. Because that evening when I confronted Emma, she had tears in her eyes. Mrs. Perth has been targeting me since day one. She thinks I'm creepy because I ask questions. Check the hamster. I bet there's no marks. She was right. When I demanded to see the hamster, it was completely fine. No marks. No notebook either. Emma had never lied to me before. Even about the cat, she'd admitted it immediately. So I believed her. I took her out of the group that week. Surely the therapist and softball were enough of a support network, right? And a month later, Emma said something so insane my heart almost burst. I made a friend. A real one, she exclaimed with a huge grin. She showed me a picture of a boy named Charlie. Scrawny, glasses, probably freshman year like her. He's in my school. He's perfect. I mean, he's perfect for me. The way she corrected herself made my chest tight, but her eyes seemed genuine, almost soft. I remembered being 14, how intense first crushes felt. Maybe this was what she needed, a real connection. I met Charlie that Friday when Emma invited him over. He was everything I'd pictured. Quiet, anxious, picked at his food, but he smiled when Emma talked. After pasta, I told them they could hang out in the living room while I cleaned up. I wanted to give them space, but keep them in sight. I was scrubbing dishes when I heard a thud, then silence. The type of silence that only happens when something's wrong. I found them by the couch. Emma had a plastic bag wrapped around Charlie's head, her full weight on his chest. His face was dark red, eyes wide and unfocused, legs barely twitching. I shoved her off, but his body was limp. No breath, no pulse. I tried CPR while screaming at Emma to call 911. She just stood there, calm. He didn't even try to push me off, she laughed. I knew he wouldn't. That's why I picked him. Full story on channel, link below.